he was already down. He was already hurt. And Bron Breakker still came for him. Let that sink in for a second. Bronson Reed, a 330-pound absolute monster of a man, was on the injured list. He wasn't on TV every week running his mouth. He wasn't out there stirring the pot. He was injured, trying to heal, trying to come back. And what did Bron Breakker do? He didn't wait. He didn't back down. He didn't show 1 ounce of respect or restraint. He hunted Bronson Reed down like a predator who smells weakness, and he obliterated him. And if you think that's just good heel work or great storytelling, I need you to sit down, because we are about to go deep on what really happened, what it means for both of these men's careers, and why this moment right here might be the most ruthless thing we have seen on WWE television in years. Stay with me, because this gets uglier before it gets better. Segment 1: Set the scene. Who is Bronson Reed and why does this matter? Before we tear into what Bron Breakker did, we need to talk about Bronson Reed, because I feel like too many people are sleeping on this man, and that in itself is part of the problem. Bronson Reed is not a joke. He is not a mid-card filler guy they throw out there to take losses and disappear. This man is a legitimate force. At 330+ pounds, he moves with a speed and aggression that defies every physical law you think you know. He climbs the top rope and drops a tsunami, that's what they call it, the tsunami splash, and when that lands, it's not just a finisher. It's a statement. It's a declaration that gravity itself answers to Bronson Reed. He has had runs in NXT, runs on the main roster, and every single time he has been given the ball, he has shown that he belongs at the highest level. The problem? WWE has been inconsistent with him. Push him, pull him back, build him up, tear him down. It's been a frustrating cycle for his fans, and trust me, I hear you in the comments every single week. But here's the thing about Bronson Reed: he keeps coming back. He keeps showing up. He's a man who has had to claw and fight for everything he has in that company, and just when it looks like he might be on the verge of his biggest moment yet, he goes down with an injury. And that exact moment of vulnerability is when Bron Breakker decided to strike. Think about that for a moment. Not when Reed was at full strength. Not when it would have been a fair, even fight. Bron waited, whether intentionally or out of pure unbridled aggression, and he chose the wounded lion. That's not just ruthless. That's cold. Segment 2: The attack. What actually happened? Now let's break down the attack itself, because I want to make sure we are all on the same page about what went down, and more importantly, how it went down, because the how tells us everything about where Bron Breakker is as a character right now. Bronson Reed was not in peak condition. There were reports circulating, rumblings backstage, that Reed was dealing with a significant injury, the kind that forces a man to dial it back, to be careful, to protect himself. And when you're a performer at that level, you know that information travels fast backstage. Nothing stays secret in that locker room for long. And Bron Breakker? He knew. Whether someone told him or he figured it out himself, he knew Reed wasn't 100%. And instead of stepping back, instead of doing what any normal, rational human being would do, he accelerated. The attack was vicious. There was no build-up, no warning, no moment where Reed could even try to defend himself. Breakker came in fast, and he came in hard. Spear after spear. Clubbing blows. Throwing Reed into the environment around him like he was trying to dismantle him piece by piece. And the whole time there was this look on Breakker's face that I cannot stop thinking about. It wasn't anger. Anger fades. Anger has limits. What was on Bron Breakker's face was something far more frightening. It was focus. Cold, calculated, completely in control focus. Like he had made a decision, a conscious, deliberate decision, that Bronson Reed needed to be sent a message. And that message needed to be so severe, so undeniable, that Reed would know without question what kind of man he was dealing with. And the result? Bronson Reed left that scene in a significantly worse condition than when he arrived. The injury that was already there? It wasn't just aggravated. By all accounts, Reed's situation became far more serious. Far more concerning. We are not talking about a storyline bump here. We are talking about a man's body, a man's livelihood being put in a potentially career-altering situation. And that is where this stops being entertainment and starts being something else entirely. Segment 3: Bron Breakker, the monster they built and lost control of. Now let's talk about the man at the center of all this, Bron Breakker, because I think it's time we had an honest conversation about what WWE has created with this guy. Bron Breakker was always going to be special. You can't look at him and think otherwise. The bloodline alone, son of Rick Steiner, nephew of Scott Steiner, means wrestling is literally in his DNA. But what Bron has done since arriving in WWE is something beyond legacy. He has become his own phenomenon. The athleticism is obscene. The guy runs a 4.440 and looks like he was sculpted out of granite. He has a spear that might be the most violent-looking finisher in the entire company right now. When Bron Breakker is unleashed, truly, fully unleashed, he is terrifying in the best possible way. But here's where it gets complicated. WWE has been building Bron as this alpha predator, this unstoppable force. And for a while, it worked perfectly as a face. Fans were going crazy for him, the energy was electric, the ceiling looked limitless. Then the characters started shifting, darker, more aggressive, less interested in the crowd's approval and more interested in proving dominance at any cost. And the attack on Bronson Reed? That is the fullest expression of that shift we have ever seen. This is no longer a man who just wants to compete and win. This is a man who wants to destroy, who sees an injured opponent not as someone to leave alone, but as an opportunity, because to Bron Breakker, right now, there are no rules. There is no off switch. There is only the relentless, consuming need to establish that he is at the top of this food chain. That is extraordinary character work, but it also comes with a responsibility, and right now I'm not sure WWE knows exactly how to handle the monster they have created. Because when you build a character this violent, this ruthless, this willing to attack a man who cannot defend himself at full capacity, you better have a payoff that's worth it. You better have someone on the other side of this story who can stand up to Bron Breakker and make him pay in a way that feels earned. And right now, I don't know if that person is on the roster, but I'm going to tell you who I think it should be coming up in just a moment. Segment for the injury question: how bad is it really? Let's address the elephant in the room, because the comment sections across wrestling social media have been going wild with speculation, and I want to give you the most honest take I can. Bronson Reed's injury situation, already concerning before this attack, has reportedly been made significantly worse. Now, I want to be careful here because there's a lot of rumor and speculation floating around, and I'm not going to stand here and throw out numbers and timelines that aren't confirmed. What I will say is this: sources that have been reliable in the past are suggesting that Reed's recovery time has been dramatically extended by what Breakker did to him. Think about what that means. This is a man who has spent months trying to get himself right, who has been counting down the days until he could get back in that ring, back under those lights, back in front of those fans. And in one night, in one brutal, calculated attack, all of that work, all of that waiting, all of that determination, potentially wiped out. If that doesn't make you angry, I don't know what will. And here's what makes it even worse: because Bron Breakker isn't facing any real consequences yet. He is still on TV, still being presented as this force of nature. And the crowd? Part of the crowd is still cheering him, because he's got the look and the athleticism and the name, and some fans are willing to overlook a lot when a guy looks that impressive. But not me, and I know not you either. That's why you're here. Because what happened to Bronson Reed cannot just be swept under the rug as part of some storyline advancement. It needs to be acknowledged for what it is: one of the most despicable acts of cowardice we have seen in recent WWE memory. Attacking a hurt man and making him worse. There has to be a reckoning. There will be a reckoning. Segment 5: the road to revenge. Where does this go? Alright, let's get into the future, because while what happened to Bronson Reed is awful, this is professional wrestling. And in professional wrestling, the darkest moments are the soil that the greatest comebacks grow from. Here is the story I want to see. Here is the story I think needs to happen. Bronson Reed comes back. He comes back, and he is not the same man who left. He comes back angrier, more focused, with an edge in his eyes that tells you he has spent every single day of his recovery thinking about one person, one name: Bron Breakker. And when that confrontation happens, when these two men finally stand across the ring from each other, it cannot be a regular match. It cannot be a match with rules and referees and DQ finishes. This has gone way past that. This needs to be a war. No holds barred. Last man standing. Something that tells the audience from the opening bell that this is not about championships or rankings. This is about pain. This is about settling a debt that was written in blood. Because the truth is, this feud has all the ingredients of something truly legendary. Two of the most physically imposing men in WWE today. A legitimate grudge built on a genuine act of brutality. A crowd that will be desperate to see Bronson Reed get his hands on Bron Breakker at full strength. The only way this doesn't work is if WWE loses its nerve. If they soften the edges. If they turn Breakker backface too soon, or give Reed a watered-down victory that doesn't feel like justice. Don't do that, WWE. For once, let it breathe. Let it be ugly. Let it be real. Because the fans want to feel something. And this feud? This could make people feel everything. Closing call to action. Let me leave you with this. What Bron Breakker did to Bronson Reed is exactly the kind of moment that defines careers, both of them. For Breakker, it is the moment that cements him as the most dangerous, most heartless force in WWE today. And for Reed, if the story is told right, it becomes the catalyst for the greatest comeback of his career. Wrestling at its best is not just about athleticism. It's not just about moves and finishers and crowd reactions. It's about story. It's about stakes. It's about making you feel something in your gut that you can't turn off. This story? It has stakes. It has venom. It has everything. And I want to know what you think. Drop it in the comments right now. Is Bron Breakker the most dangerous heel in WWE today? Can Bronson Reed come back from this and get his revenge? And who do you think could stop Bron if Reed can't? Comment. Share this video with every wrestling fan you know. Because we are talking about something real here, and the more people who see it, the louder our voice gets. I'm Ring Rumble 1, and we are just getting started.